The practice of politicians opening criminal cases of corruption has become commonplace in South Africa. Yesterday, Build One South Africa leader Mmusi Maimane laid criminal charges against the former Eskom CEO André Ruyter and the Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan. This is over the alleged corruption at Eskom. What really happens, though, to these cases? Let's get some perspective, and we speak to former prosecutor and current member of Parliament of the Democratic Alliance, Advocate Glynnis Breytenbach. Advocate, thank you very much for your time. I remember distinctly the Democratic Alliance opening cases at the height of state capture in the country, and then you move from that to the July unrest. South Africans are questioning themselves. Is there any benefit to opening these cases if nothing ever happens?
Good morning. Yes, it's a good question to ask, and it's one that needs possibly a rethink. The DA has laid many criminal charges over the years of state capture, also the July unrest, and probably will lay more. On the one hand, somebody needs to lay the charges, or else they will not be investigated. The police are unlikely to investigate those matters of their own accord, although they're authorized to do so. Without the laying of the charges, there's sort of no genesis to an investigation. And so one lays the charges in as comprehensive a manner as one possibly can. Often the affidavits are very comprehensive, with a lot of annexures, a lot of the work already having been done by investigative journalists. Other bodies are attached, need to be authenticated, making the workload of the police, in my view, somewhat easier. But it's very disappointing that very few of these matters seem to see the light of day.
But why is that? I'm sorry to cut in, Advocate, but why is that? Particularly cases that involve high-profile people.
Well, I suppose there are many reasons for it. Some of them maybe reasonably explained. Others cannot be reasonably explained, and that should be a worry to all of us, every single citizen. The police are under-resourced, we all know that. The police are under-trained, we all know that. The police do not have access to forensic capabilities, we all know that. But this has been the case for many years. It's something we've complained about and raised in Parliament over and over and over again, and yet nothing is done. The police are completely unable to investigate these complex state capture commercial matters because they don't have the capacity. They don't have sufficiently trained commercial crime detectives, sufficient of them. They don't have easy access to forensic accountants. Their cyber forensic unit is practically non-existent. And so they're constantly on the back foot. The product that they can bring to the national prosecuting authorities is not a good one, it's not a strong docket. And so you end up having prosecutors and police investigating ad infinitum, trying to plug the holes, but on a budget that is completely and utterly untenable. Forensic services are expensive, very expensive, prohibitively so. And so they're constantly unable to produce the goods. And we see this happening now in the Estina matter, in the New Line matter in the Free State, where the state has now closed its case without proving the veracity of that upon which they relied. The Gupta leaks. Those documents are there. They were obtained with great risk to a great many people. And they contain a great amount of detail, and we all know it. We've been through it. But of course it had to be authenticated. Everybody knows that, and particularly the prosecutor knew it. Yet it wasn't done. And nobody could have thought that it would be admissible as evidence without authentication.
Yeah.
So either it is an inability to authenticate, an unwillingness to authenticate, I don't know what it is. We'll have to have a look at that matter very closely.
You have said, you've used the words, police are unable to investigate these cases? Is it the question of inability or a simple reluctance to go as high up the ranks of government as they possibly can, in cases, of course, that involve government or public officials? And I'm saying this to you, or I'm asking this question to you in this way, because those that are watching, ordinary people who are watching this, are saying, but we're constantly told in this country that everyone is equal before the law. But there are people who are simply untouchable in South Africa. And why do I say this? A recent case that was opened by the former intelligence head of the country, who at the time of the opening of this case was the former correctional services at the Department of, what is this department? The Prisons Department, if you like.
Yeah.
Arthur Fraser.
Correctional Services.
Correctional Services. Arthur Fraser goes and opens a case against the president. It has been months. Nothing has come from the police as a way of an update. I asked Begitsele just the other day, on the back of the Eskom allegations, if it were to happen that indeed a fellow cabinet minister is doing wrong things at Eskom, would you arrest a fellow cabinet minister? There was no direct response to that question. So, again, I phrase the question to you, is it a reluctance or an inability?
Well, I think it's a combination. In fairness, the police are desperately under-resourced, both with human resources, operational resources, and financial resources. They operate under conditions that are quite appalling. And if you have time today, just stroll past your local police station and see the conditions under which they have to work. See the conditions under which they're required to work 18 to 20 hours a day. And it's quite appalling. So they're underappreciated, under-resourced, and financially they're completely, they're stretched so thin that it's almost impossible. But there's no good denying it. There's an unwillingness on the part of the authorities, whoever they may be, the upper echelons of the police. I'm afraid to say it certainly looks like the upper echelons of the rest of the criminal justice system to go after high-profile people. It's not happening. Those names have been out there for years now. The investigative journalists risked their lives during state capture to report on those issues and did so exceptionally well. Many details were revealed by the work of a lot of politicians not in the ANC. Those details were revealed at great risk. Nothing has happened. We have had the Zondo Commission. Very little, and everybody choke on their breakfast. Yet we see no action. And the one case that was really so available for good prosecution has now apparently, been dealt a very serious blow, in my view.
Which case is this?
Well, the dairy project case in the Free State.
Yeah, the Nolade investments case. Yes.
Yeah, it's not a difficult case. It was a well ventilated case. There was a lot of detail available, and in my view, there wasn't that much to be done in order to achieve a solution with the case. It's not over, and one doesn't want to count on chickens before they hatch. But not proving the authenticity of vital information and then closing a case can never be a good thing. So let's see what happens there. But it's not a good thing, and I'm very worried about it. They can't afford to lose that first case. I mean, what does it say to the rest of South Africa? So I do feel that there's a reluctance to go after high-profile people,
but
and it's something that worries me deeply and should concern all of South Africa. We are all equal before the law. Our constitution guarantees it. And so there can be no reason for not going after high-profile people. Is there a personal risk to doing it? Absolutely. But if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. That's what the job that we all signed up for. We need to do it.
Yeah. Final question to you. We have been promised by the head of the Hawks, Godfrey Lebeya, that institution he leads is being capacitated. You are a member of parliament. They account to the Portfolio Committee on Police. Do you think that there is indeed work being done to capacitate the Hawks?
You know, I don't sit on the Portfolio Committee for Police, and so I don't hear General Lebeya's reports firsthand. And I must say that I have the highest regard for General Lebeya. He's a fine man. He really is. But I don't for one moment believe that the Hawks are being capacitated or capacitated sufficiently. They simply don't have the budget. And the skills are simply not available. And there's no training happening. No training happening. And so competent commercial detectives are not born. They're made.
So what's the solution?
It's a matter of experience. It's a matter of training. It's a matter of exposure. It's a matter of mentorship.